Come on.
And just for perspective, we're about 6 kilometers inland from the modern beach here. And this looks like an isolated hill, but it's actually a range of hills that kind of runs perpendicular to the uplands to the west of here. So anyway, there's over 15 species that have been recognized of coral here, as well as associated mollusks. You'll see some of the mollusks you might see are articulated shells. This coral reef that's about 1 meter beneath our feet is in place. It hasn't been reworked. You can see how well preserved these corals are, and that's kind of unusual for this part of the world because there's so much weathering here typically that carbonate material gets weathered out, but in this case it's been preserved. We have 2 radiocarbon ages for this coral, and both of them came back right around 7,000 years ago. And if you'll think about the Holocene sea level curve for this region, it's typically drawn as being maximum high stand about 5,000 years ago at possibly as much as 5 meters above present sea level. So here we're about 1 to 1.5 meters above present sea level, and the top of the coral is around 40 centimeters above present sea level. So what does that tell you about sea level? 7,000 years ago, it had to be high enough that this coral developed and lived below low tide, because that's the only place coral can live. They can't live in the intertidal. So we can use this as a, we know it was marine here, and marine enough for coral to develop. Not an estuarine system, but full marine. And that it was adjacent to this, what was then a peninsula, just offshore. It's sitting right on top of the bedrock, or so it appears. And the maximum transgressive shoreline at that time was well inland of here, maybe 4 kilometers. And you can trace it because there's a sandy paleo beach ridge there that's recognizable. Also, between these 2 hills on the other side is another similar deposits that have been dug up, marine deposits that have been dug up from one of these ditches, but they're different. There's no coral there. There's a little bit of coral, but most of it, it appears to have been a much more muddy or maybe an embayment sort of setting. So this is an important site for peninsular Malaysia in terms of reconstructing the Holocene sea level history, because we have age data and elevation data. So I'm just going to, I dug this hole back in January, and rather than go all the way down with the new hole, I'm just going to go to the top of the coral reef here, which just goes down to, there's probably some mud in the upper part that has washed down in there over the last 2 months. So we'll just get that out. See, I'm hitting it now because I can't turn this thing. You can't dig once you get down to the coral. It'd be nice to get a core that penetrated to the base of the coral so you could get an age date for when the coral first started developing. Yeah, I can't even, but you can. Yeah, I can't get any of it up. So so you'll just have to take my word for it. That the top of the coral reef is down there. Where's that?
Okay.
That staff that has, who has that staff that has measurement? There it is. So this is marked off in tens of centimeters. So right around 1 meter is the top of the coral reef down there. And we've done several boreholes, or auger holes here. This extends in that direction around 100 meters. And there's some pretty good, you might want to walk down there, coral that's been dug up out of these ditches. These ditches are about 1.7 meters deep, so any coral you see here came from between 1 meter and 70 centimeters, 1.7 meters below the ground surface. The coral. One of them was Parietes. The other one was, I can't remember the other one. I had, we've been working with a guy from Geological Survey of Japan. His name is Yoshiki Saito. And we have done several cores, one at Sediu and 3 in the Kelantan Delta over the last few months as part of a CCOP project. Anyway, he dated these corals along with that project, but the cost is around, it's around 1,300 ringgits per sample for
30,000. 3,000. Per sample.
So this place there is probably a past barrier, like a barrier, reef barrier, reef ring.
I don't think there was any, couldn't have been any barrier in front of this when the coral was here, because it has to,
Very shallow.
it's clear water. Yeah, it has to be clear water, but it was, just think of Redang Island out here.
Yeah.
You know, you had, this is a good analog for that. This peninsula stuck out, and then right adjacent to Redang Island, you have, you know, very close to the island, so you have good coral.
5 or 10 meter depth.
It must be away from a big landmass.
Yeah, where this
An island is okay.
island's okay as long as it's rocky, but you can't have too much plastic sediment coming in, and you know, so because it needs clear water.
How many kilometers from the beach to here?
It's 6.
6.
So you have to look towards something about 6 kilometers behind for the coastline during this period.
The coastline,
Yeah.
this is a peninsula. If you follow, there's another flat back in here, similar looking to this. Some of it's oil palm. And I was telling some other people, there's another site by a ditch where they've dug up jelly marine stuff. But that was a muddy environment. That was more of an embayment setting back there, whereas this was more open marine here. It's very interesting. And I haven't gotten any, I just found that site 2 weeks ago. So it's, we're kind of in the process of reconstructing this Holocene history, but we got a ways to go.
Will you be able to get some borehole data from Minerals and Geoscience Department and also
The soil survey people.
yeah, they do boreholes, but usually they're just interested in the type of soil or
I know, but sometimes you can get useful information from
they'll
that.
put shells,
Yeah,
shell fragments.
yeah, they'll record cells if they're in there. But I don't think, a lot of times they don't go down much more than a meter, I don't think.
No, in Para area we collected about 60 borehole data, and they go up to 30 meters. They do quite deep.
That's pretty good. Is that soil survey or
It's
JMG?